Hello again, friends and neighbors. Today's video, I've got something kind of exciting. I got a box that actually has, as you can see, some live plants in it. Now, I have a growing orchid collection because, as any of you know who have orchids, you know that it's kind of like a disease. You start with a couple, with one or two orchids, and it just kind of balloons with the success you have. So I've got some Phalaenopsis orchids, a couple oncidiums, I've got a grammatophyllum, and I think a species of Cattleya that all seem to be doing okay. So I decided to kind of branch out a little bit, and what's in this box should be 3 Miltoniopsis orchids, which, from what research I have done, are on the more difficult side of things, apparently. But we'll get into that. Let's get this box open first. For those of you who don't know what Miltoniopsis orchids are, the common name are pansy orchids. They're orchids that have really large flowers and apparently have a very nice smell. And I love nice perfumes or nice smells, so I'm really kind of hoping that I have success with these, because the flowers, and I'll add photographs of what each one of these are supposed to look like when they get full grown. I'm not sure how large these plants are. Oh, they're in rather large pots. Okay. Okay, let's get these out of here. All out before I unwrap them. And I bought these on eBay from a seller called Orchids by Sandy. And they've got some culture care sheets. Apparently you take care of them similar to oncidiums, which is why I decided to branch out and try them out a little bit. But you can kind of see from the photograph that they have large flowers that kind of look like pansies. So it'll be interesting to see. And again, I'll try to add photographs of each particular variety so you'll see why it might be interesting for you to try them if you're into such things. Large flowering plants. Ooh, look, the leaves. Ooh, she wrapped these up good. Oh, and they're growing in bark. Ooh, this one, I don't know. I don't think that tag is right, but this is Miltoniopsis Memoria Martin Orenstein. I don't know that. I think that's actually ODTNA. I thought that was, okay, we'll check that. But it's actually got a nice new growth off of it. The roots aren't in that great a shape. I'm actually going to repot these. I'm going to put them in sphagnum moss, because from what I've read, and actually where it probably says on here somewhere, is that they like to, the watering, they like to have, must drain perfectly. The plants are drenched almost daily, and because of this, they're intolerant of salt buildup, so leaching every 4th, 5th watering, blah, blah, blah. Must be at least 70% because of plants' need for abundant water. Yeah, well, that's not going to happen. So I'm just going to have to plant them in sphagnum moss and hope they stay wet enough. Because I've seen, watching YouTube videos, that there are some growers that have considerable success with these by just growing them in sphagnum moss. Some people grow them in a water culture type of setup. I'm not quite brave enough to try that just yet. Ooh, there's the next one, and it actually does, again, as with the other one. See, now this one actually says Miltoniopsis Breathless Beauty. So I'm going to show this to you. I don't know if you can read it, but I'll show you the pictures of that. I think ODTNA is Odontoglossum. No, because Odontoglossum has a G in it, so it would be... I want to figure that out. I'm sure there's somebody screaming at the TV, screaming at their computer screen right now. I don't know what's the name, but yeah. And this one... Be really careful. That's the other thing, is that the roots of these things are quite delicate. This one, okay, and it also has a nice growth on it. And this is Miltoniopsis Lilian Nakamoto Tanto. And excuse my southern accent, I'm sure I butchered that completely. Okay, well, actually, as you can see, these are in fairly good shape. They're fairly nice sized plants. And as I said, I think I'm going to go ahead and repot them. So I want to do that on camera. Okay, so we're back again, and I had to Google that. The ODTNA, that's short for Odontonia, which I didn't realize that when I purchased the plant, because the flowers look exactly like Miltonia. But Odontonia is actually an intergeneric hybrid between Miltonia and Odontoglossum. So I was kind of headed down the right road to begin with, but Odontoglossum, but Odontonia. But the care is similar to Miltoniopsis. And again, you'll be able to tell by the flowers that they're very similar. Okay, so I'm going to go with these orchid pots. Now, these are the ones that are like a basket. And the reason I'm going to go with these is even though these orchids like to stay wet for a long period, or they like water, I'll put it that way, they're still epiphytes. They still need airflow through the roots. So I'm going to go with these. We'll see what kind of luck I have with them. If I don't have much luck, we might have to go to a regular pot. But we're going to try these to start with and see where we go from there. So I've got our 3 pots. I've got some moss. I've got a bowl with just some regular tap water. Our tap water here is actually fairly clean. And I water most of my orchids with tap water. There's very few plants. Well, yeah. There's very few plants that I actually water with filtered water. The nice leafy green plants, a lot of times I water those with RO water, reverse osmosis, because sometimes the buildup of salts or the buildup of the chemicals in tap water can cause the leaf tips to brown, and nobody wants brown leaf tips on a nice green plant. So I'm going to take the moss, put it in the water, let it become really nice and saturated. Let it swell up a little bit. I don't know, looking at these tiny specimens here, they don't have very good root systems. The roots actually look fairly dead. I don't see any green growth tips, and you see how wobbly they are. So that's the reason that I'm going to go ahead and repot them. If they were healthy looking and they had healthy looking roots and they were steady in the pots, I probably wouldn't. But the other reason I'm repotting them is, in my experience, what little experience I actually have. See, that's not even, yeah, that hasn't been growing in there. They just stuck it in that for shipping. Oh man, those roots do not look good. Well, I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to take this little guy and put him in the water for a minute. That is Miltoniopsis Lilian Nakamoto Tanto. So we're going to take our pot here. Oh, as I was, what I was trying to say is I might actually add some of this in layers in conjunction with the moss. But wood chips for me tend to dry out a little too quick. And with an orchid like this that likes to stay fairly moist most of the time, I don't think pure, using nothing but those wood chips is probably not a good idea. Okay, so we're going to take this guy, set him in the pot here. Move this over, move the bowl over so I can kind of get him in the center. And I will kind of layer this into the center there, so it'll have a nice airy super airy layer, but then above it and below it, it'll have the moss, which should be, I will try to keep nice and moist. And what I'm doing here is I'm just squeezing out the excess moisture to make sure that it's not sopping wet, but it is just, well, moist. You just want it moist, not sopping wet. And I'm going to put it in the center of the pot, which is probably, because it forms pseudobulbs, I probably should put it to the side, but I'm just going to try it in the center of the pot for now. I'm not going to worry about it, because I don't even know if they're going to survive. I don't even know if they're going to make it. Judging by the root system on this one, I'm not so sure. But we'll see. We'll see. You know, maybe I'm being pessimistic about that, but it just doesn't look, the plant doesn't look that, the root system is what's got me worried. And we're going to tamp it down a little bit. I don't want it too tight because you don't want to constrict the roots with your moss, but you do want it to be sturdy enough to hold the plant upright. Trying different species is a good idea. Because you never know, you might find something that one person says is incredibly difficult to grow, and you might find that you have the perfect environment for it. But you'll never know unless you try. You should never let fear of failure dictate your endeavors in life. You know, go for it. No pain, no gain, that sort of thing. That was kind of a cliche, but it's the truth. Now this one actually feels a little bit more sturdy. It's also a larger plant. And I will go put these with the Phalaenopsis orchids because I'm fairly confident the lighting requirements are similar. These might need a little bit more light, like an Oncidium would, but we're going to start there and see where they go, or see how they do. Okay, I think we're good here. I mean, the flowers on these things just look like paintings. They don't even look real. They look artificial. They're so beautiful. And I know I'm rambling, but it's hard to, I can be explaining what I'm doing, but it's pretty self-explanatory what I'm doing. So I'm very, very carefully, yeah, see, these were not growing in these. I'm a little worried. It's a little worried. I don't see any new roots. But that doesn't necessarily mean they're not going to start putting roots out. Putting them a little lower in the moss than they were here, I think, is probably going to be a good idea. And then, even though this moss is wet, what I'll do now that I've potted them is I'll actually take them in there to the sink and give them a good drink and kind of rehydrate. Just make sure everything is at a consistent moisture level, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Because like I said, everything that I've read, they like this to be on the moist side. I mean, even that paper said they like to be 70% humidity, but there is no way that you can that you can provide orchids 70% humidity in a home setting and that be healthy for you. Because what's going to wind up happening at 70% humidity is you're going to wind up with mold. And nobody likes mold. Mold is not good for anybody. So yeah, we're not doing that. But so hopefully doing it this way and keeping on top of this, I'm going to have to water these probably every other day. Keeping them nice and moist, giving them plenty of strong light. Hopefully they'll bounce back. I mean, the plants themselves don't look bad, but it's the root systems that really don't look that great. And generally with an orchid, its health can be measured by what its roots look like. Okay, let's put the tag in here. And then we'll do our last one. And then I'll take it in there to the sink and give them a water. Now I'm not going to show you that because my kitchen needs to be cleaned and I don't really want anybody to see it right now. So, do this last one here. Now I do even Phalaenopsis orchids when I get them, depending on what kind of shape they're in. If when you buy a Phalaenopsis orchid, usually they come in, or when you buy any kind of orchid, generally they come in a clear plastic pot. even if they don't, you want to try to pull them out of the pot they're in, as long as they come out fairly easy. You don't want to force it, but you want to inspect the root systems. So if you have a lot of like really nice green roots or nice white roots, if they're dry, they'll be kind of a whitish green color. If they're wet, they'll be like a limey green color. And as long as they look like that, and the medium they're growing in looks decent, I wouldn't repot it just yet. But if it doesn't look, if it doesn't have enough nice roots, and most of the roots look brown or yellow, which some of these do look like that, I would definitely repot it. I would give it fresh medium. I would cut some of the dead roots off. Now the only reason I did not cut any of the dead roots off of these is because, from what I have, the little bit of research I've done, they don't like their roots messed with. So if there's any chance of any of those roots actually still being viable, I don't want to cut them off, because right now they don't have enough roots really for you to, what am I trying to say? There's not enough roots for me to feel comfortable cutting the ones they have off, even if they are potentially dead. It's kind of what I'm trying to say here. Yeah. Yeah, see, that one has no roots at all. Like, that's terrible. Now what you can tell that this was actually an offshoot that she pulled off, because you can see how flat it is. It was growing against the side of another pot, or inside a pot. So that's probably why. I don't know. I just don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Hopefully they won't sulk too long, and they'll start to recover. It is kind of my hope. That's one of the downsides to ordering plants online, is you never know what condition it's going to be in when you get it. And you can't really take it back. It's not like, buying it from a nursery and going, this plant was in bad shape, I'm going to return it. Well, you've got it now. And really, like I said, the plant itself is still a nice color. It's still green. It still looks healthy. But the roots have got me a little concerned. They really have me concerned. I know I keep saying that, but they don't look that hot. Looks like I mixed up a little too much here. Okay, so as I said, I'm gonna run into the kitchen to the sink, give these a nice drenching, let them drain a little bit, and then I'm gonna put them up on the orchid stand with the Phalaenopsis, and I'll give you a quick glimpse of the lighting situation and where they're going to be sitting, so you will kind of have an idea of what I'm going with. So if I have any success or failures, you'll may be able to tell me what I did wrong. I don't know. We'll see. Okay, back in a flash. Okay, so I took them to the sink, gave them a good drench, let them drain a little bit, and now I've got them underneath the lights here with the other orchids that probably need to be watered. They're a little dry. But we'll see how these do. I'm hoping they get plenty of light here. I think it'll be enough, and I hope I give them enough moisture. We'll see. I mean, that's about all I can say at this point. I think I'm gonna leave it there. There's not much more I can say. This is an experiment. We'll see how it goes. I don't know how well this is gonna turn out, but anyway, thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.